Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to Navajo Tea Time. This is a special episode because we also have Mona on. And so this is going to be also a Kelsey and Mona Geekout episode featuring Adrian.
Crossover.
Hey everyone, Adrian here.
So I guess before we get too deep into what we're going to be talking about, announcement, me and Adrian are kind of take like a summer break from Navajo Tea Time. You probably already noticed that we missed 2 weeks of videos.
They don't know.
You're not subscribed anyways, so.
I noticed, Adrian.
So we'll probably be back in October is more like it. Sorry for not being able to do all the election content we wanted to do. I had 2 major family emergencies and couldn't really reach out to the people we wanted to interview. And then the general elections were over and it seemed kind of, I don't know, pointless, mute to interview them after they lost the general election.
Yeah, the primary.
Primary. Okay.
Primary, yeah. So leading up to the primary, a number of people had made recommendations for who we could interview on Navajo Tea Time, but neither of those people progressed to the general. So, I mean, there is some like hot tea though regarding the election. So they're actually going to be doing a recount tomorrow, Monday, August 29th. A number of candidates had filed grievances. And a huge majority of the candidates also had big suspicions regarding the way the elections played out on election day. How many people, I guess they had kind of suspected that there was going to be a little bit of voter suppression going on for various reasons. And so at least 3 candidates filed grievances. And a number of the candidates also, they came together to fund a recount for the entire Navajo Nation. So I don't know who knows this, but what I was told is it's $50 per chapter. So $50 per chapter is 110 chapters. So I believe it's $5,500 to do a recount. And so that's what they wanted. So they actually pulled their funds together so they could pull that off. And from what I heard today, the recount's happening tomorrow. So just from an email I was privy to from a meeting that had happened over Swaya weekend, when they did look at the numbers, the unofficial numbers did not reflect the true numbers after they had kind of, spent a couple days or a couple weeks tallying the numbers. So previously, Jaralyn Nez had been reported getting over 17,000 votes, but from last week's tally, it was actually a little over 16,000, which isn't a huge disparity or a huge, it's not a huge discrepancy, but it's still there. And so with the actual recount happening and all the grievances being addressed this coming week, we're going to have a clearer picture of what that looks like, what the voter turnout was, and also what the votes reflect. So that's exciting. There's some other voter or election related tea that I'm aware of too, but I don't know if I should like roll it out or let the Navajo Times report it, but there's more stuff coming down the line. It's crazy. So yeah, so whoever's like, I don't know, whoever's keeping track or whoever's like following the elections, it's not over yet. There's more stuff to come. There's a lot of things going to start being revealed in the coming weeks that I think I'm excited to like share with our audience and talk about, but we are taking a break. So, and that's mandatory, something that we need to do for ourselves. There's a lot of things going on in the next few weeks. And so we're going to take a break, but when we come back, a lot of that stuff will have been revealed, I think, and we can have a conversation about that. Maybe bring on some more guests. But yeah, speaking of guests, maybe we should introduce our guest today. You want to do the honors, Kelsey?
Oh, okay.
should we have her introduce herself for those who might not know her?
Predator.
This is the Predator.
Yeah, this is the Predator. Don't need to know who else there is. So I guess for a formal introduction to Navajo Tea Time, even though my name has been dropped on here plenty of times, let's get all formal with it and just say Yat Esh a Mona Inishia. Kana Bashishit, Kanestani Dashichet, Ahidana Etashinale, Antile Detnasha. So yeah, that's who I am. I'm Mona. I am from Burntborn near Pinion, and I am Kelsey's soulmate. So this is the face you want to see every time she says my name.
That's exactly the face of my soulmate, Mona.
just all teeth, teeth and forehead.
Look at that beautiful smile.
Yes.
Here's another. Well, we'll do this side. Here's another photo of Mona. So, like we said, this is going to kind of be like a hybrid Kelsey and Mona geek out the video, because it'll be less editing on me, and you don't need to edit the same topic for, you know, 2 different platforms. So we'll just combine it together, and we're going to be talking about Prey, the movie that came out on Hulu. We're a little late, but I haven't seen a lot of major movie reviewers do it anyways, probably because it's mainly native and they tend to not talk about that.
There's not. Yeah, I think it's probably because more so because there's not been a theater release, which is just that me because it deserves a release. I love it so much.
No, I've seen some, you know, streamed videos get a lot of reviews too, because I watch movie reviews. But
well, never mind that.
Anyways, so let me just pull up some facts about the movie really quick. This is what we do on Kelsey and Mona Geek Out, is that I give out the facts and then we'll gush about the movie or our problems with it later on. So Prey is directed by Dan Trenchenberg and written by Patrick Eisen. I'll put the name up. The story is by Patrick Eisen and Dan Trenchenberg, based on characters by John Thomas and Jim Thomas, starring Amber Midthunder as Naru. And so there have been a couple of other Predators movies.
Just a couple.
I'll name them and the year that they came out so people have context. So Predator, 1987, Predator 2, 1990, Alien vs. Predator, 2004, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, 2007, Predators, 2010, and The Predator in 2018, and now Prey in 2022.
I think I've seen all but the last two, or the most recent, the two before Prey.
I think I've seen all of them except for AVPR and The Predator.
Yeah.
I've seen all of them. I'm a big fan of The Predator.
You are you're our resident expert then.
Sure.
Roll with it.
So I guess, Adrienne, how do you feel about the Predator franchise as a whole?
I love it. Yeah, I think it's really good. I love the Predator, the character. I like all of his toys and methods. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's even while watching Prey, I was telling my husband, I was like, yo, like, even though this is like, you know, has a strong native cast and I'm native, I was like, the Predator is still my favorite character. Like, okay.
I know it's like you know the plot of it sometimes, like especially in the first two Predators, where the whole point is like you gotta die because they're the monster. But at the same time, you're like, I love them so much. That's not really what I want.
Yeah, and I just love the premise of it, you know, how the Predators go around all over the universe looking for, you know, all the other Predators, and they want to be the best. So they train with them and they, you know, go head to head with them. And this one was really cool because, he was going up against, you know, these wild animals, which we really hadn't seen before. You know, like a bear. That was crazy. Like, I love that scene.
Oh my gosh, that whole scene was, I laugh now when I see it, just because there were, of course, people that were they were upset the CGI in that part of the bear, and they were trying to say, they were complaining about CGI and how it could have been done better, or the fact that they used real wolves or they used real dogs, like everything like that. They were complaining about it, and I just love what my brother pointed out. Yeah, they should have a real bear to fight the predator, and then there wouldn't be any CGI needed.
Problem solved.
It's just ridiculous. Solved. Have a bear fight the predator.
You know, they could have used a real bear and people would still be up in arms about it. Like, how could they do that? You know, so
they could have used a real predator too, you know.
They did use a real predator. Kelsey, gotta do it. Gotta bring in Star Wars, because this, not this actor, not the predator for this movie, but I think he was in AVPR Predator, but the actor who embodies the character Chrysanthemum in the Book of Boba Fett, so the Wookiee that finally ripped someone's arm off, he is actually got his start in acting, like doing body work, because before he was just makeup. He got his start doing body work in the Predator movies. And so, yeah, there's Star Wars mention for the episode.
I'm going to push my nerd alert button right now.
Hey, this is part of...
No, do it. Do it.
That's all Kelsey. We do is to have a nerd alert on Kelsey and Mona Geekout. It's all nerd alerts. It's Mona just finds a way to put in Star Wars no matter what.
I love it.
So when was the first time you guys watched the Predator movie?
I was a little kid. I saw Predator, the first one, when I was small, and it blew my mind. I loved it. It was so good.
Yeah. Way too young. I think because I know the first Predator was my favorite. Just because it had like native guy in it, you know, Billy. I mean, that's my favorite part to quote. It's just Billy, no. But I mean, that was my favorite one. But I know I saw Predator 2 like way, way, way too young. That one is just not appropriate for children. But I remember it. And I know I saw it. It's so young. I don't know how old I was.
Yeah, I agree. I told my son, like, you can't watch that movie yet, not until you're older. Because it was like, they had like sexy scenes in it, you know, and I was just like, when I saw it, I was like, whoa, what the heck? Like, I shouldn't be seeing this right now. You know?
I know.
Yeah, same with me. I think, because like the movies came out in the 80s and early 90s, so I was a little one, and then like my dad would just watch whatever he wanted to watch. He didn't care where we were, if we were there or not.
My dad's the same.
Yep.
I'm just like, great. I mean, he had all those movies on. He had Predator 1 and Predator 2 on VHS. And so, you know, they were like in rotation at our house.
Yeah, I definitely had them on VHS, and I was like what? Alien versus Predator, that one like 2000.
I love that movie. Yeah
I was so freaking excited for that. And I mean, I was probably, math here, I was like 8 years old. Already had seen all the Predator movies, so yeah, I was younger than 8.
Me, I think I wanted to watch Alien versus Predator because I wanted to watch the aliens, so that was really, I was more on that side of the AVP part, because I remember one of my Nellies, she had the whole set on VHS, the Aliens 1, 2, and 3. And one time we were house sitting with my dad, and for whatever reason, my dad felt it was a good movie for us to fall asleep to. So he's watching all 3 aliens, and then I'm just there sleeping, and I wake up and then watch a little bit and then fall back asleep. So I was really more into the Aliens franchise.
Me too. I loved Aliens, and I loved when
I
they
know.
put the two together. I was like, yes.
I know. I've seen all the Alien movies so many times. I pretty much do like a yearly rewatch just because I love it so much.
Dang.
And I'm like always quoting them. Well, I rewatched the first two a lot, but the 3 and 4 I'm okay with. Not really. I've seen them. But I mean, it's a monster either way, Predator and Alien. I mean, I'm gonna love it either way. I was like super pumped for Alien versus Predator.
That was my favorite one until Prey came out. Now I'm like, yeah, this movie rocks. Yeah.
Okay, so before we start talking about what we loved about Prey, there was one thing I found on IMDb. So it says, near the beginning, the Comanche tribe is shown, and there's a caption reading, the Northern Great Plains, September 1719. By the 18th century, this was Cheyenne territory, and the Comanche would have been living in the Southern Great Plains. So that was just a little, they call it not a blooper, but like
a faux pas.
Maybe something. A historical inaccuracy.
Are you telling me that a Predator movie is inaccurate with history? What? What does this world come to? My God.
That's the only like thing that I was reading on like the negatives of the movie, and I'm like, oh, okay, they put the tribe in the wrong geographical location. At least they tried.
Other than the fact that they just used a real bear
or a real wolf.
I think the wolves are real.
No, the wolf is CGI. The rabbit's real though. The rabbit's real.
The rabbit's real. I know a real rabbit when I see one.
Anyways, yeah, so that's like the only thing is this. It's just the wrong tribe in the wrong spot. But
or it could be just like a single band of tribe hiding out in Cheyenne territory. They don't know.
Okay, so what did you guys love about the movie?
Everything.
I was gonna say that too. Everything.
So one major complaint I saw was like when people turned on the subtitles, that the French part was still in French and they didn't translate it to English.
French.
And
I'm like,
I love that part. I'm like, I like that it's not they don't translate the alien language either. So
it's like you don't know what they're saying because you speak that language, or the main character doesn't speak that language.
Yeah, and that's what I liked. I liked it. It was just something that people didn't like, but I really liked that they kept it not translated.
Yeah, like when my brother and I, when we watched it separately, but my brother basically pointed out the same thing. Like he was trying to figure out what we were saying, and so he turned on the subtitles, and it just says speaking or something. And he was, I don't know why I got really happy when I saw that. Like I didn't have to read. And yeah, I really did appreciate the fact that they used language in the way.
I really like the setting. I like the setting in the mountains. It was beautiful, it was very cinematic. I liked the subtle humor that was in it. Like one thing I noticed was, at the beginning of the movie, the protagonist is sleeping and then she gets waken up by this like foot being pushed on her. Like every time she wakes, and I was like, at first I was like, that's got to be her brother. Like only a brother would do that because they're awful. And then it's her mom. And I was like, oh, of course. That was so funny. That was funny to me. And then I really like the face paint. I mean, Comanches, they always have like super dope face paint. And I don't know, I thought it was really cool. Yeah, and then of course there's a few other things too. Like I really like the portrayal of the French fur traders. How oftentimes people portray French people as very refined, they're the creme de la creme, right? They're like they're always like dressed all beautifully and they're rich and wealthy. And this movie, they're just like all rugged, you know, and I was like, yeah, that's what's up. It's good to have an accurate portrayal of a people, you know, not just one element of their society. So yeah.
And this is like Baroque times, so this is like peak French elegance, 1719. You got Bach, you got harpsichords, you got bows and powdered wood and everything. So to just have it be like, oh, here's the French guy, or here's a group of French guys, and they're all rugged and gross and just, and it's like, it was, even with the translator, it wasn't portrayed like sympathetically. It was just like they were just there, and it was, all of it felt gross, really.
I mean, and what they were doing was gross, you know, and people don't talk about that, how they skinned so many buffalo and left them for dead, you know, and how that contributed to, you know, the displacement of people, taking away their ability to feed themselves, you know, all these different things that play into that storyline. I like the way they portrayed it so accurately, you know, it was like the bad and the ugly, you know, and I think that's something that needs to continue to be told about the history of us with them. So yeah, that was cool.
That was one thing that I did like really appreciate, because of course, Adrian, with our history and our coursework and everything, because that's where we met, was like our Indigenous studies classes. But with that, even watching it, like seeing all the slaughtered buffalo and all that, it showed how awful that was and how detrimental it was and how wasteful it was. And so we knew who did it. Like, we knew it was not the predator, but I did like how they portrayed that, because not only when Naru, like the offering and all that, the buffalo and stuff, like, not only he did that, but you see Predator come up on it, and even he's not impressed. Like, what the heck is this? Isn't sport. This isn't like, this is disrespectful and it's wasteful. It's like you sort of got that vibe from the Predator himself, and I appreciated that, because it's like there was literally no reason for Predator to do that. Like, this movie just made me have more respect for the Predator than the French. So
what about you, Kelsey? What things did you?
It was a really pretty movie. Like, me and Mona have talked about, like, you know, movies just being pretty, and this was a really, really pretty movie. And just like the landscape and the clean air, and, you know, seeing cold weather in the summer, it just makes me want it to be winter so much. But it was a really pretty movie, and just the cinematography and the movements. And I've heard a lot of other film review people saying how they really liked this use of a drone shot, because since the invention of the drone and the cameras connecting them, it's been overused and mainly just like fly through a city or something. But this one, like flying up and showing them trying to run away from the predator, it was like really, it gives you a bird's eye view of what's going on and just shows you how slow they're running. And then the predator just like coming up, and you're like, I'm trying.
Oh my God. I know, that freaked me out. That scene was so scary. He was moving so freaking fast. I was like, oh shit.
Scene made me think of, especially tall grass, was like Jurassic Park. Oh my God,
Yes.
the raptors in the tall grass.
I was just about to say that. It reminded me of like the raptors running after the people in the tall grass.
Yeah, so good.
I was so nostalgic. Like, you were talking about the scenery, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's something I never experienced, but at the same time, I'm like, I miss this type of environment, this feeling or whatever, because every time I'm traveling, I'm always looking at landscapes, especially if I'm flying. I'm trying to look at landscapes and like, okay, what would the natives that were here, what would they need to do in order to survive in this environment? Did it even look like this before? Is this like a result of some sort of like practice? Like, what did this place look like in its natural state? And did the natives live here? And just, I always end up at every time I travel somewhere. So basically being immersed in this movie, and with like beautiful drone shots and these like landscape shots and everything. It's just so nice to see that and know like, okay, that's just nothing but in there. And it was something that I missed, even though I've never experienced it. I can't remember the word for it. Missing something that you never had.
I think one thing that was cool too is how the story showed the people's life, like the tribe's life, because there were people. It showed like the rites of passage, right? For those that were hunters, those that were like the gatherers. It showed like, cleaning of the hides. They featured that cane, that often accompanied people into battle, like a lot of the warriors that had to earn the right to even hold it. And I don't know like all about the history of the Comanche people, but just to kind of have a little snippet to see that just be present, on the screen in a big movie like this was really cool, because it shows the structure, I guess, you know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people sometimes who are unfamiliar with Native tribes, they assume that we were just, I don't know what they think, but I think sometimes people assume that we weren't really as organized, structured, or our societies weren't so there wasn't really like a rhythm to the life, you know what I mean, beyond just kind of like either frolicking through the forest or fighting. I don't know, but I mean, I appreciate that sort of thing, I appreciate that sort of representation on the screen. And then there were some things that I didn't like about the movie, but like I think just talking about the positives only, I think I liked having, naturally seeing people who, even though they're not from your tribe, like they're of your people, they're indigenous to this continent, and to have that be shown on the screen is always really fun. So, and to have them be up against Predator and win, I was like, hell yeah. So yeah.
I was texting my girlfriend all throughout the movie because we technically watched it like together and everything. And the end in the credits when it says like for the Comanche Nation, and I was like, for all of us, bro, come on. like that didn't feel like a Comanche movie that felt into this.
I know, and to have like a Native woman be like the star of this movie was such a big deal, because all Natives know that Native women are badasses, you know what I mean? And there's a select group of Native women that are hella strong, they're like, they got that warrior spirit, and so to see her training and to see her practicing, to see her being so disciplined and brave on her own, that spirit is, I think, something that can resonate with a lot of us. That's what carries us through our everyday. That's what keeps us here, and it keeps our people here, surviving, we're still here kind of thing, like that's the kind of vibe that I don't know, for me, that was something that felt really good. I was like, hell yeah, and I like how she started to see her weaknesses, or the attributes that, like, how she was saying, like, I'm not a threat, therefore he's not going to go after me. Like, she was using her brain to figure out how to win, how to go against the predator, how she was going to survive, and the whole time she was using her brain to do that. She was really being calculated. It went beyond just her training, but she was very cerebral about, every single strategy. She was paying attention and taking note, and she was watching. And I thought that was really cool. So she kind of started to see like the weaknesses that others might attribute to her as strengths. And I think that's a really important narrative to include in the movie.
Yeah, and she didn't, I like too that she didn't need to like, she wasn't trying to appease the warriors, like the male warriors and everything. She wasn't trying to like down to them or like prove herself to them. She's just kind of like, all right, whatever.
Like,
like whatever. Yeah. As much as you don't want me here, I'm still here, and get used. And it's just such a simple line, but when they're taking that one friend who was taken by the lion, when they're taking him back and he says he's cold and they start trying to cover him up, he needs cold, and they start trying to do it anyway, and she's like, hey, do you want him warm or do you want him alive? Like, it's plain and simple. You just need to listen to me. And yeah, I have things that I I didn't like about the movie too. But even with me not liking these things, I sort of appreciate that they're there.
Yeah, I think so too.
I like that I don't like them.
Mhm. I think like any Native woman who grew up with a bunch of cousins that were boys can probably totally identify with that whole, that whole vibe, that conflict that she was, living through. And it wasn't something that was pulling her down and like really like destroying her spirit. It was just like her norm, like there's a bunch of guys who are kind of like, why are you here? And she's just like, whether you like it or not, I'm going to be here. That totally felt like me when I was a kid. Like all my cousins were boys. And I was just like, you can't get rid of me. Like I'm going to show up and I'm going to play here and I'm going to have fun. I don't care what you think. So they would pick on me all the time. And it was really annoying. And we would even get in fights and stuff too. And we're always competing, and what that did was it kind of like gave me the drive to want to win, to be better, faster, smarter, be quicker, hide better, all these, because we would play all these games all the time, like day and night, we used to play all these games. It was really fun, but it made me really like super competitive and want to be like hella agile. So to see this girl running around and like bouncing off trees and sliding, like her sliding was dope, because I remember doing that when I was a kid. It was cool.
Yeah, I really liked how her brother was nice to her, I guess.
Wonder what that's like.
Oh no, I know, huh?
If you listen to the podcast, you know our struggles with our older brothers. But like, it was nice, like he allowed her to be there. I don't know, it's like allowed her to be there, but like
he respected her enough.
He stood up for her, like when they're like, why is she here? He's like, and then he came up with a reason really quick. It's like, well, because she knows medicine, and if we find him alive, he's gonna need medicine, and she's good at tracking. So he encouraged his sister to. He was supportive and encouraged her to be better, but he's like, I can't carry you. You have to prove yourself. I'll stick up for you and I'll be there to back you up, but you're gonna have to carry your own weight. And I felt like she proved herself over and over again through that. Like, even the mom was like, here, we got to make medicine. So she did it anyway. She wasn't complaining, but, oh, I have to make medicine because I'm a woman. It's like, no, someone needs to make the medicine. So I'm here making it. And then the mom's like, why do you want to be a warrior? And so she explains herself, and they don't actively stop her, but they also don't they don't support her that way. They're like, if you want to do it, you're going to have to do it on your own. And I felt like that's just the way a lot of people grow up on the tribe, like in the reservation, everything, like if you want to do something kind of out of the norm, you have to really prove yourself. And you have to, like, if you want to do something, you have to be the best at it to just get people to stop, naysayers.
Yeah.
That's
it's
so
like
true.
it feels like a Native mom thing too, to just be like, all right, well, show me. Like, if you think you can do this, then show me. And I like how it was never told directly to Naru, her brother, or by her mom, like, you can't do this because you're a woman. You can't do this because you're a girl or whatever. Yeah, other people, like the other warriors, had insinuated that, but it wasn't from her mom or her brother. Like, her mom was, the real, like, you're sort of just treating this, or I see you treating this as a fun thing, or as like a casual thing, to be a hunter, to be a warrior, and all that. And almost like when you get when your parents don't understand how invested you are in something, or how passionate you are about something, and they just think it's like phase or time or a hobby or whatever. And it's like, that was the main reason why mom was like objective, because she, like, they didn't do it just for fun or just because they could. They did it because they needed to. Because they have to survive. We have to survive. And I don't know if you understand that. And it seems like that was the main objection her mom had. But for her too, like, hey, I know you can do this. I know you can do this. Kind of like, you need a chance, but pretty much you got to take a chance, so you got to take it. And when he really, I guess, sort of turned the one time he was against her going out and doing everything. It was just because you could feel that love. You could feel that, like, that kind of brotherly love. Like, I don't see you hurt like that again. I don't want to see you in that situation again. So it's not because I don't think you can do it. It's because I can't handle it. I can't handle you in that situation, kind of thing. And it was more like him sort of being selfish and thinking about, like, hey, I can't do it, but I'm not saying you can't, kind of thing.
I feel like at that part, like when he came back and said, "Hey, this is our kill. Look what we did." Like at the beginning, I really noticed that because he was sharing the stuff, and then she snapped back at him and being really, she's like a teenage girl. She got mad that she got carried home and didn't help with the kill. And then he's like, "Okay, no, I'm gonna go back and celebrate my win," because he tried sharing it with her, and then she got mad and snippy at him, and then he's like, "Fine, I won't share the credit with you. Go be mad."
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I think he was protecting her, also, like, he was beyond just not wanting to see her hurt. I think he was straight up with her, like, "You're not good at this. Like, look what happened. You need to chill. Either you need to keep practicing and get better, or." It was basically he didn't want her going back out that night, yo, you need to chill and recover. Like, you got hurt really bad. And she's like, "No, I gotta go, I gotta help." And he was just like, "No, like, I don't support that. Like, you still have a ways to go." But her urgency couldn't, it wouldn't allow her to accept that, so she went out again. Mm-hmm.
So
very about the time in the situation, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So people who love dogs, did you guys love the dog in the movie?
Yes, because he looks like my dog.
Midnight doesn't look like that.
Well, Luke, well, I don't know if you've seen Luke. It looks like that. No, I just love dogs.
I'm not a dog person, but I liked how she could communicate with her dog, and you could tell that dog understood what she was saying. Like, there was recognition when she was, communicating with him, like, and he was like, "I know." Like, I mean, understood.
I love that, Adrian. I love that.
That's my reenactment. Me and Jordan were watching it together, and there was that little flower piece, and we're like, "Well, what if, like, the predator guys are like, 'Hey, you guys got beat up by a little native girl?' It's like, she was a witch. She had a magic flower that made her disappear. You didn't tell me about this."
Oh my God. I love that part though, when she figured out that, like, when it slows down the blood, the body appears cold and you can't see, like, the predator can't see the person. Mm-hmm. When she got that, I was like, yes, I got all excited.
Like, I know. I love plants, I love medicine, and I love that twist. Like, I loved it.
It was so, because I thought what it was going to be was, remember when she fell into that bog and then she was just trying to get her way out? And do you remember in the first movie when they were in the jungle?
Yeah,
and
the short moment.
Yeah, he covered himself with mud so he couldn't. So I was like, oh, that's going to save her. And then it didn't really play a role.
Yeah.
Not like that, not as camouflage.
I feel like it was intentional though, because it's like they had a lot of callbacks, just like the whole when her brother got to say that line, like, "If it bleeds, we can kill it." I mean, that feels like so that is such a quintessential Predator line. And the fact that, like, a native dude got to say it, I love that part. But it's like they had a lot of callbacks to, obviously, to the Predator movies, even at the end of the movie, Gun, all of that was just callback. It felt like a fan, almost like a fan film. It's fan fiction or something, what it sort of felt like, because there's just these little references that if you aren't familiar with the movies, or you don't remember them real well or whatever, then you don't know how cool something as little as, like, as that gun could be. And it felt that way, both the universe, but also for, like, the Indigenous side of it, because there's things that happen, just like what we were saying. It felt like it's like, oh, somebody's just kicking her awake. That's her brother. And we
Yeah.
all know it's her brother. And it just felt so like I just love the universe this movie put me in.
For real. I remember when I saw the preview for the first time, I was like, oh great, another new world. You know what I mean? Some sort of like, you know, natives frolicking in the forest kind of video. And then there was the 3 dots. And I was like, I got all excited. I was like, yes. It was so cool. Like I was super excited to see this movie, like super excited. And I love how the preview is just like that little snippet, you know, just enough to get you like really excited. Like this is going to be crazy, you know?
Yeah, that preview was just, if you know, like, you know, those 3 dots, then you know what we're doing here. And I mean, I first heard about concepts like a couple years ago, I think, or just whenever it was first announced, who knows time. But first heard it back then, it was like, oh, Predator is going to be facing off against a Comanche tribe. And I was just kind of like, all right, I'm excited, but I'm also healthy amount of skepticism or like caution here, because like I've been burned before. So it's one of those, I was just like watching it, but when I would see the trailers, I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I should be excited for this movie or not. Like I don't know how excited I can get, but I'm excited.
For me, I feel like Naru's main reason to want to be a warrior was so she could sleep in, and that was just me projecting.
I saw that too.
Yeah, because like her mom let her sleep in, you know, because her mom gets up, gets ready, and then she like kicks her awake at the end. It's like, okay, get up. Now you have to get up. You only have so much time before you come out. And then like she looks over at her brother, still like sleeping. I'm like, I feel that.
I know. That was such a look.
Yeah, I got that too. I was like, and I kept thinking about it too. I kept thinking about that scene. You know, because I mean, I'm a WGS major, so I always think about like how certain things are gendered and, you know, the meanings of certain things and the roles of men and women in any society. And that was something that kept going through my head too. And I was just like, so when you said that, like her whole reason for wanting to be a warrior is to sleep in. I love that.
I mean, that would be my reasoning. I love my sleep.
I'm just a big plant nerd, so I'd be one of the first people out there to be like, hey, this only blooms before sunrise, so you gotta get up.
Oh, we need to hurry. Come on.
So I'll meet you guys out there. I'll see you there.
By the time you get up right now.
Eat breakfast.
So
I'll collect the roots.
I was not going to get into all of that, but I did notice though, like, so all the women are going out together, right? And, you know, even the woman who had her baby in the cradle board, you know, they're up early, they're going out to do their work together. No one's having to tell them to do it, right? They just know that this is the role they play within their community, basically. And that scene when she got up and she was like, you know, gonna do the routine, and then she was just like, no, you know, so she turns around, and that scene of her walking the opposite direction of all the other women, that was profound. I thought that was a really great shot. It was a really great scene. Nothing needed to be said. No one said anything to her. Nobody tried to stop her. Her mom didn't run after her crying, you know. And it was just, I just feel like that's so, like, even that, it's so true to, I think, some of our society, you know what I mean? Like, I think that in other movies, you see a girl moving away from the norm and someone's always trying to hold her back or warn her or stop her, or like, don't do this. And then she has to say, no, I have to do it. You know, there's like and I just feel like in Native communities, it's kind of like that, you know, women kind of have that autonomy, you know, they can walk in the opposite direction and do what they feel is the right thing to do. And you're not going to have a whole parade of people standing. It's basically, you want to make this choice, you're going to have to, you know, you're going to go at it alone for the most part. But, you know, we're not going to try to hold you back either. I think that says something. To me, it did. And it was really subtle. And it was just a few seconds in the movie.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I completely agree, because it feels, it's more of like a capacity, like this what I can do to contribute, rather than like, this is what I'm supposed to do to contribute. And when we felt like her contribution in the community and the tribe and the village, like what it is, when she felt like it changed or could change, because she's like, I can do this. Like, look at all these rabbits that and like, no, I'm good at this, and I don't want to dig up roots. And I'm just going to go do my own thing. And it's sort of like, okay, if you're capable, and that feels exactly what you were saying, it's more about capability than like assigned gender roles.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like something, it wasn't even her wanting to do her own thing. She was on a straight up mission, right? She knew something was wrong. She knew something that wasn't supposed to be there was there, and it was dangerous. And it was something that she wanted to hunt down and look for and find out what it was. And that's what that's like a calling, that's like a straight up mission. She's willing to she knows she's going to put herself in danger. So it's not like she just didn't want to work. And then another thing too is like, it didn't take away from the value of what she was being taught by the women within her society, right? Like, it wasn't taking away the value of the medicine she was being taught to make, or the ability to gather herbs, or, like all of that. Like, that knowledge saved so many people throughout the movie, continuously. So it kind of shows the balance, you know what I mean? That there's value in these things. And, sometimes our mothers, they teach us what they know, because, I mean, even her mom was like, how did you remember, or who taught you about, those flowers? And she was like, you did. And I kind of remember stuff like that happening between my mom, and I think moms do that. We impart the knowledge we have to our kids with the hope that that's gonna, possibly save a life later, or have some, some positive effect on them or their immediate surroundings later in life. And I thought that was really cool, because sometimes I think movies can do that. They can take away like the value of what a character is being taught, especially if it's something gendered. It's like, oh, she didn't need to know how to do her makeup all, she didn't need to know how to do her eyeliner, right? But she did. Like, that's a dumb excuse or a dumb example, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like, I liked how they did that in the movie. I like how they included it and they kept the value.
Like, they incorporated her mother's knowledge. Yeah, they incorporated her mother's knowledge. They incorporated those skills. And even while she was out getting the roots, that's when she found the first sign, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If she didn't have that effect, then she wouldn't have been as good a warrior as she was. And it's like, she wouldn't have succeeded if she didn't have that knowledge that her mom gave her. So yeah, I mean, it would have been so easy for them to just never mention the flowers again. But the fact that they made it a main point in, well, not just like a main thing, like an advantage instead of just trivia or something. It straight came, she made it a tool. Like, I think that's the part I really, really love about the whole incorporation of the flowers and stuff like that, was that she used all her knowledge, like you were saying, and she used this other thing that isn't really known. She made it a tool. She made it an asset, and she was doing on, I guess, the end of the spectrum or something.
Did you guys like her bedside manner when she got the flowers in the little piece of cloth and she would put it right here
and she just smashed it into his face? Yeah. Oh my God, being in healthcare. Oh God.
I love that.
I like the parallel that they had, because when they're tied up, her and her brother are tied up. He says that he wouldn't have been able to kill the mountain lion if she didn't wound it first. Mm-hmm. And so that goes all the way back to the end where she kills the predator. I guess, spoiler alert, she kills the predator. But I guess they never win, do they? The predators? Yeah. They always
they don't
die. Well, the ones that we see in the movies, they always die. But anyways,
technically Alien versus Predator, but not really,
At the end, he's still kind of lost.
Yeah.
Well, because he died. He didn't survive. They took his body away.
Oh.
But
yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So like the brother, he wounds it. He wounds the predator, and then so she was, because everyone's complaining about how this little petite native girl takes down a predator, but like, no, that thing is wounded time and time again. It's like hours after they're tied up, and it's still recovering from its wounds. We see that it hasn't had the time to heal yet, and so it's still wounded. And then the brother stabs it with the metal spear, and so it's still wounded. And then later she traps it, and it's like she's not fighting a predator when it's its full strength, just woke up, took its Wheaties and everything, you know. It's wounded, it's bleeding, it doesn't have its mask, can't see and everything. So it's not like she's taking a full-on strength predator. It's wounded first. And I like how like she didn't take it down on her own. It was like the contribution with her brother helped take it down.
That was one thing. Yeah, I mean, I did like that when it's like Predator versus the French, he just walked them, and he had like no damage. But with those like 4 native weren't waiting for him, they weren't prepared for him. He just had to cross. He was to like stitch himself back up, and it's like because the tactics are different. And I think it really comes down to tactics, because people are complaining about size. Small people can still fight. Like if you're skinny, it's like tactics, your tool, it's what you know, it's skills. And that's, if you look at her fight, it was all skills and tools and observation. Did she take like a knife and in one swing she herself cut off the predator's arm? No, she made that bitch do it himself. And it's like she had these like she had these plans, she had these ideas, she had know-how. And yeah, in a hand-to-hand fight like Naru versus strength predator, no question if it was just hand-to-hand fight. But a predator has tools, a predator has weapons, a predator has skills. I mean, it bothers me that people are gonna say, oh, it's unrealistic because she's small. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. I know big people have trouble moving too, like because they're too tall for society sometimes. And it's how you like accommodate yourself to that thing. And different styles for if you're taller, if you're shorter, if you're bigger, if you're stronger, if you're weaker. It's like, it's why different fight styles is because people are just working with what they have, and that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, and then also the predator matches, I guess, what the person's fighting with. So like when those braves were taking her back and then they pulled out their bows and arrows, he switched his gun thingy to like an arrow gun. And then when they had their spears, he pulled out his spear. And then when the French were shooting at them, he's like, okay, I'll shoot you.
Oh my goodness.
I love the predator, but I was rooting for the bear. I knew what was going to happen.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. Oh my God, that scene was so good. When he like,
okay, so as the person apparently of this episode, get back to Sari, which is the name of the dog. The dog actor name is Coco. She is she's a female. This is her first acting role, and she's good. And that's what I want to use the image of Adrian's impersonation of Sari as a thumbnail, because I mean, I love that dog. And she was
side by side.
She was so good. Like somebody pointed out how like she was acting like when after Naru's dies, and I forget his name, but after her brother dies and she's like washing off the blood, and then she just passes out before she the grossest Frenchman. It's like she wakes up and sees like looking at something, so that's when she like turns to see, and it's like looking at the same thing, watching the same thing. This dog is looking to her for cues. I love this dog so much. And yeah, her name's Coco, and I love her.
I had a dog named Coco that looked just like her. And that was the first dog I ever had. And it died because I think someone poisoned it. And I held her all night until she passed away. And I was so traumatized after that. I was like, I'm never going to own a dog again. Like, I can't. And then her dog reminded me of my dog, Coco. And we used to run together. We were like bros. You know what I mean? It's like bros before hoes. Just kidding. She was such a cool dog. No, but I like that scene where like the bear is running up, you know, it smells the air. It's kind of coming up the hill, and then her dog intervenes and like starts barking and has the bear chase it down. I was like, yes, you know, those scenes were cool. Like it was that dog did a really good job.
It was straight teamwork with the dog, and even the dog even take down her. And I mean, that was one thing, like as soon as they introduced the dog, I got so worried. I'm like, this better not die. Like I do not want this dog to die. I am so traumatized by so many dogs dying, and I was just like so nervous of the fact that the dog lives. One thing that I used to sell the movie to some of my friends, and I'm like, hey, the dog lives. If you're worried that the dog lives, just know that going in. Like, and yeah, I mean, teamwork. I love the dog. Like I was narrating for the dog head, especially when that Adrian mentioned where the bear chased it away so that way she can finish getting ready and it's coming back. But in my head, when the dog's like running by her and the bear back, I'm in my head, I just heard being like, still doing, fucking run. And I just was attacked, but I mean, that's all I heard was just the dog just being like, fucking run.
I like that scene too, because like I remember the guy that she was sitting on the tree with at the beginning was saying like, when it comes, you know, time, you're not going to be able to shoot. You won't pull the trigger. And I don't think, not pull the trigger, but, you know, pull the arrow. And I don't, at some point, maybe he's like being mean, but also he's probably trying to tell her there's more to hunting than just, you know, pulling the trigger, you know, or like, you know, pulling the bow and arrow back. There's a lot of psychological stuff that goes into killing another animal. And so I think maybe in the way natives are giving advice, but also being really mean and rude about it, you know?
I was like, I did not feel sad though when like the guys that were taunting her one got eaten by the lion, right? Or like, remember he was all talking trash on the tree,
and then it like jumps in.
It's all rawr. Like, he deserved that.
I know, like, dude, pay attention. Shut up. You're hunting. You're not supposed to be talking. Like, come on.
I know he thinks he's all bad and that crazy lion shows up. I was like, oh dang. And then
it's like everyone that died, like all the simple characters, well, simple just because they're native to me, but it's like they all died because of their own hubris, including her brother. Yeah. It's like it was their own hubris that killed them.
Yeah, like the guy she was fighting with, you know, when he took those metal pieces and I was just like, he was a jerk. God.
Yeah. I'm like, I knew he was gonna die. I wanted to see it. Like I wanted to see him get fucked up somehow, but same time I'm like, I'm too sad about that. But I mean, that scene, that whole fight with those, the part, like, ooh, didn't need that. Like it felt like the Predator 2, like all the skinning scenes. It felt like that because at the part that one guy was like crying and both his arms were chopped off. I'm like, ooh, I didn't need that emotion right now. Like
that almost made me cry. I was like, oh
yeah, it hurt.
Yeah. I know. I was like, am I sad for him because he's like a native too and I don't want to see any, you know what I mean? Like those are our men. Ew.
It was like, it's like I wanted them to get their comeuppance, but just maybe not like
not
that.
like that.
Where it
yeah,
to being villain or the monster.
I know. The one scene that actually super pissed me off though is like when I think she was trying to run away and the other guy like pushed her and the other dude like got her in the face. I was like, ooh,
That was just such like a cheap shot.
That was after she definitely kicked that other guy's ass, right? She like
she was ready to leave.
And it's like, okay, I'm done fighting you guys. I'm going now. And then they and that's when the predator stepped in.
That gave me like North vibes. Ew. North flashbacks.
YouTube City coming out.
I know, I was triggered. Ew. I was just like, oh, I was pissed. And then like, but my husband, because we watched it together and he was all like, I don't buy that. I don't think that, he was like, I don't buy those guys like beating up on her like that. And I was just like, I mean, it sucks to see, but I mean, who are we to know? Like, I know for a fact some guys that would like, you know, hit somebody, you know, like, I mean, I know for a fact there's like shitty guys like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that'll
do that sort of thing. So I'm just like, it's like, you don't want to think about it, you don't want to believe it, but I don't know. So that was a part of the movie I didn't like at all.
Yeah, that was that group of dudes was like one of the things I didn't like. It sort of felt, I don't know, it's just like you're saying, we don't know, but it felt disingenuous to have like more of the men against her or against like her coming along or being so like misogynistic against her, like, oh, we don't need to cook. It's like, fuck you. It just felt like part disingenuous. It felt like it was played up to make these guys antagonists or something.
Yeah, and I don't think that, I don't know, there's a part of me that doesn't buy it either. I'm just like, I don't think that that's the kind of thing that any dude with like any Native dude would say to a Native woman back then. You know what I mean? Like that kind of not ideology, that kind of like those attitudes hadn't really been ingrained yet. You know what I mean? Like that kind of misogyny and patriarchy hadn't been introduced. You know what I mean?
That became like straight fantasy for me too. I was like, this is so like I'm pissed about the white representation in my Native men right now.
I know you're all disappointed. You're like, yeah, and you do like. I was happy when go ahead.
I was just like, I felt like it came because they obviously came to get her, so they were following her, and like they didn't have a woman, so they didn't have anyone to cook for them. So they're probably starving and hungry and don't want to deal with her BS right now. And then she's like, no, I'm not going. And they're like, no, we can't go home because the new war chief, your brother, says we have to bring you home. So we're taking you home. And then she gets violent with them. And so they get like, fine, you want to fight? Let's fight. But then the other guy, after she won, and then just threw her into the other guy's fists. I'm like, no, that's over the line. And then like the predator comes in and kills them all. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah, I guess
it was.
That's why I see it. Like,
I know. I mean, I see it that way too. It's just, I mean, it didn't feel right. I know they were probably hungry. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, I can kind of like shitty attitude for reason from like your cousin or your brother who's just up at something, but it's just to have it be so consistent. The part that I was kind of like, all right, this is fantasy. Oh yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that every single dude knows how to hunt and cook for themselves. I don't think they were hungry. Like I'm pretty sure
at that time.
Yeah, especially at that time, everyone had to know how to cook, otherwise, or feed themselves. Otherwise, they'd starve. You know what I mean? So I don't buy that. At least I'm just like,
I guess that argument definitely only makes sense if they are truly misogynistic like that, where they're just like, oh, I don't cook because mom does it for me or my sister does it for me. It's like, if you truly believe that what you're supposed to do, then that's the reason why I'd be hungry. But yeah,
I'm gonna throw that in the trash. Just kidding.
I appreciate the effort, Kelsey, but I'm rejecting.
I'm just saying, like,
2/3 majority over the world.
I know Mona's all trying to rationalize that. No.
Well, I mean, like, the movie made from today's standards and society, it fits in with the narrative story. But whether if you want to go back to being historically accurate, again, they were in the wrong zone. But
yeah. So
And
if there are any men watching
there's
this,
a predator. There's an alien hunting people.
Well, I just want to take this moment to get on my soapbox and tell any of our male viewers that there's no reason to beat on a woman. Doesn't matter if you're hungry or not.
There's no reason to beat on anyone. Full stop. Woman or non-woman.
Only predators.
I know. It's
only predators.
Oh my God, did you see that meme? Did you see that meme about prey? I think they were talking about like, oh, did you see the new Predator movie? And then the meme is all like, Predator who? Cody Dayish?
No. What? Oh my God.
I was like, oh shoot. Shots fired.
That is so Navajo. So Navajo.
So that's the latest meme circulating the Native film community.
I haven't seen it, but
I saw one on Twitter. Because there's, of course, photos of the actor, the Predator actor. He's photos of like him and Amber Mid-Thunder, because of course they're promoting the movie, but it also seems like he just genuinely enjoyed it too. But on his Twitter, he put up a photo of him and Amber Mid-Thunder, and it's like she's playing and everything, and he's in full Predator costume, and I think he has his armor or something. Like they're just posing generically, like behind the scenes photo. But I've seen people create memes where it shows it's supposed to be Naru saying something like, I don't care if he beats on me, I love him, and that I don't care that he beats on me or that he tried to kill me, I love him and I'm back. Those are the memes that I've seen, and it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I was like, I don't care that he tried to kill me and my entire village. We're cool now.
Yeah.
No.
I'm like, that's so res.
That's so res. I hate that. It's really bad.
Little things I really appreciate, or like I said, it made it feel like fan fiction to the Indigenous person or something. And one of those things my pointed out to me was when she is doing her whole, like, you don't know it, but I'm killing you. It's like when she does that whole speech and she eats the flower and she hears the clicking over the forest. One thing my brother pointed out is that she does that long whistle, like she does the whistle to him. And it's like, my brother pointed it out to me. I don't know if he heard it from somewhere, like, she's whistling at night. So she's calling the evil spirit to her, doing it to him. I'm like, I love that. It just made me appreciate that scene so much more. It's just when calling the predator to her to be killed. But it's like just a little Indigenous thing where everyone's like, oh, don't whistle at night. There's so many tribes that also have that superstition, and it felt so native in that moment for her to realize, like, oh, she's whistling, so she's calling in the evil spirit intentionally. It's exactly what they tell you not to do for that exact reason.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I like that you pointed that out.
Yeah, there was a bunch of little things like that I really appreciated.
What is it?
From Predator 2.
Mm-hmm.
The gun. Yeah, and it sort of just implies, yeah, they this is where that gun comes into play. This is how they got that. This is telling that backstory of just like throwaway action of them tossing the gun, Danny Glover, and he's just like, damn, you guys really have been here a long time. And it's like that single piece that probably just like, whoa, and people thinking, how did that happen? The fact that they made it like, oh, a Native woman kicked its ass, that's how that happened. And I don't know, I didn't catch it when I first watched it, but credits when it's showing all that, all the artwork, even the artwork I loved in the credits, but I didn't just my watch through where it shows all the ships showing up at the end. And my sister, who didn't really remember the Predator movie, she was worried, thinking like, oh no, they're going to be just like the white guys and they're going to slaughter the village. Like, she was thinking more along those lines. But for me, I'm like, no, it's the delegation basically coming in to be like, good game, bro.
Mhm.
Don't they always
Mhm.
like take the bodies back?
Yeah,
Like
I think so.
they're like,
I'm just
okay,
wondering if they let her keep the head in exchange for the gun thing. I don't know.
well, isn't the head hers? It's her trophy, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. And like, she gives them the gun, just like something to remember me by or whatever.
I think I remember seeing somewhere in like the extended Predator universe of the comic books that the Predators get the gun from a pirate ship.
Well, that's not real. Retcons.
Or like, you know, like, because there's tons of history between this and when pirates come around. Like maybe they traded the gun for something else, or it made
Yeah,
its way.
and it is in the same time period. I mean, what the golden age of piracy was like 1717 to like 1720. It was right this exact same time frame, so that is totally possible. Maybe the French got it from pirates.
No, because the Predator has to take it from the pirates, and that's how they got it. And then they
Retcons.
give it to Danny Glover, or they can just, you know.
There's more than one gun in existence, Mona. I can hear it, Kelsey. I can hear it.
I'm just saying the gun can make its way around.
I guess a quick last minute commentary or something about the movie and then end it.
Yeah.
Or yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You want to go first?
Sure. I think one thing everyone should do, which I haven't done yet, is watch it in the Comanche dub.
Yes.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
can't wait for that one.
It's already out. You just gotta switch it.
No, I mean, I just haven't, like, I have been ready to watch it in the Comanche language because I heard the original actors came back, and I'm like, I feel like it's gonna be so much more powerful for some reason, just being not English. But I'm like, I just haven't hit it yet.
Mhm.
Just because every time I watched it recently has been showing it to someone who's never seen it before. So I can't just jump straight into like, here's the Comanche version.
Sure you can.
Just do it.
They won't know the difference. They've never seen it before.
We're all
Language
Navajo.
immersion.
We're an isolated tribe. And
So this is okay, so this is what the audience doesn't know is I was given this assignment to watch the movie because we were going to talk about it, and I didn't watch it till last night. So it's all super fresh in my mind, but I want to watch it on the big screen. And right now it's being shown at the theater in Winter Rock, Arizona. So I think I'm going to go over there and watch it because I want to watch it on the big screen with popcorn and really loud sound.
oh, I didn't know
For
that.
how long? When?
I'm
We can all go.
Oh, we should.
we're gonna do a party. I mean, that was gonna be my next thing because I'm like, this needs to be seen on like a large screen. I freaking love this movie so much.
Yeah, so we should plan on that. So I'll send you guys the details. But yeah, so that's what I'm excited about. I'm definitely gonna watch it in the Comanche version just because, you know, I barely watched it in English last night. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the other version, and I'm so excited that, you know, Native tribes are able to do this sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's super cool to hear our languages out there streaming, you know, on Hulu and Netflix and all these other streaming services. It's really cool. So yeah, props to everyone who's
for all that is definitely appreciated, because even the director's just kind of like, yeah, it's not like dubbed in Comanche is the thing. It's all the original actors came back, reshot the movie in Comanche using the Comanche language only, and that's the one that I really, really love because it's not just a dub, it's a whole new movie.
Yeah, and the language is beautifully portrayed too. So it's super cool that it was done that way, because people who still speak that language, they can hear it. And then this movie can be utilized as a tool to continue to teach.
I'm
And
watching
contribute
Prey in high
like that.
school Comanche class.
Mhm.
Hey, someone's gonna do it. Someone's gonna do it.
Language immersion. Come on, people. We got to keep doing this.
Okay, Mona, what's your last little tidbit?
Let's see. I mean, Halloween is right around the corner. Let's be honest, it's like 60 something days away, and I've already seen racist cosplay. So I'm not looking forward to that. That's one of my commentaries. But the main message I want to get out to everyone is adopt, don't shop, because Coco is amazing.
Adopt a dog, right? Not a native person.
No, oh my god.
Sorry.
Adopt a predator at your local shelter. I mean, they're the least adopted animals. Trying to kill you, and they bite you with all four fangs, and some of them just need homes, you know.
So I ran out of my room really quick because I wanted to share something before we end. And this has to do with representation, right? Native representation in the mainstream media. So this is the September issue of Men's Health. This is Thosh Collins. And there's like this whole thing here. Hold on, can you see it? I disappeared.
Nope.
Yeah. I'm a predator.
You gotta get rid of your background.
Barely see it. Okay, I gotta turn my background off. I know. Let's see. How do I
Your
do
camouflage is glitching out.
I know. Hold on. Let me.
You go to your video thing. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So this is Thosh Collins from Arizona. Super native. So he's done a lot of work in the realm of, wellness and fitness. He and his wife, Kelsey, they have a podcast called Wellforculture. There's programming all in it. And it's super cool because he's on he's in Men's Health magazine, in addition to a few other cool guys. But look, it's Lauren Anthony. He's Navajo. And he's featured in here too. He does like Chizh for Cheii and Iron Warriors. So it's super freaking cool to see more natives in mainstream media. And there's like other stories too of other people. Yeah. So.
And not like during Native American Heritage Month or something.
I know, right? It's so freaking cool. I saw this and I was like, oh my God. Yeah, there's like other
that's so awesome
too. Yeah, so check it out. So that's my little spiel. I ran out of the room. You probably heard like crashing and everything. Trying to get out quietly. But so did you guys see that I'm training for a 10K?
I did. I'm like, oh, that's why she wants to do it in the afternoon and not the morning.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I was so sore today. My legs were killing me. And guess what motivated me?
The predator?
Wait.
Like, I gotta fight this.
I know. I was thinking about how she was just like running all over the mountain and swimming in icy water and just being so agile, you know what I mean? And I was like, I can jog a little bit.
That's what happens with me in like the Assassin's Creed 3 game. I'm like, I need to be that level of athletic, and I don't like that I want to be.
All right. No, I was gonna say that like you saw Prey and you had like this idea to start running and doing a marathon. Anyways, this morning I had a stress dream where I had to run for my life and I woke up super stressed because I was running.
Oh no.
It's a sign.
Kelsey did not run.
You do not run. I woke up, I'm like, oh, I had to run in my dreams. It's not nice.
Honestly though, like I'm training for a 10K, which is 6.2 miles. And I haven't run that distance in about 10 years. So I'm really like stressed. I'm not stressed about it. I'm just kind of like honestly scared because I know it's going to hurt. I know it's going to be struggle. and I'm afraid I'm going to come in last. You know what I mean? Like that's
I'll
my
join,
biggest
and then
fear.
you won't be last.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll be your pace cars.
Okay. That would be awesome. I'm so afraid of coming in last. That would just be like the most embarrassing thing ever. But I'm just like, today I was like, you know what? Even if I come in last, like the fact that I finished is what matters. You know what I mean? Like the fact that I did it is
Yeah.
what matters. So that's the mindset I'm trying to stay in, and not like,
I mean, you signed up, you're already like steps ahead of us. You're thinking about it. I mean,
You're training.
Mhm.
you're already in the lead.
I mean,
Aw,
like, you
thank
know,
you.
even the last person in a marathon still ran a marathon.
That's true.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of people that would never run a marathon or can't, you know, like I can't. I feel the same way. I'm like, run a marathon? That's crazy.
I mean, just run.
Yo, run down the street.
Only
No.
or can I break up my wheelies or something?
I'll walk a marathon. I'm not gonna run. I'll see you in like a day.
I'll see you tonight.
Oh, Kelsey, you know we have a 30-minute mile just when we're walking, so it'll be like what, 3?
Oh gosh.
I'll have my little parasol and
30-minute mile. Yeah, that would be a
Casual
long
stroll.
casual stroll. Yep. Navajo Tea Time is taking a break. We'll be back in October, and I think that vlog challenge or whatever for them is me and you making each other's costumes, right? Are we still doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make your costume and you'll make my costume, and we'll ask Mona about French stitches, whatever that was, or hems, right?
French seams.
Oh, seams. I was close.
Don't try it. First time project. Don't do it. I'm just gonna warn you now. My eyeballs and French
Mona,
seams.
I was teasing Kelsey about when we were talking about this idea. I told her that I was gonna make her a hot dog.
Oh.
And then I said, I'll make her the bun.
Oh. I want to judge your costumes now. I need to be included now.
Anyways, all right. Well, I guess we're good to go then, right?
Yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and for the podcast, rate, review, share. Is that what it is?
Subscribe, maybe?
Yeah.
Subscribe. I don't think they can
Subscribe.
subscribe on some class, but
On
follow.
YouTube, subscribe. That would be cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Yep. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
See you in October.